5 to 7. Now, new for you this morning, this is a report. Here it is. It's into our country's anti-smacking law, claiming, well, it's done very little to stem the abuse of children. I think it goes further than that, says it's done nothing. Family First says not a single indicator relating to the abuse of children has improved. In fact, it has got worse. Now, we put this report to SIF, who didn't want to be linked with it. We want to make that clear. We invited them on to talk about it. They said they didn't want anything to do with it. So for more on the findings, we're going to talk to the report commissioner and writer, Family First's Bob McCoskrie. Bob, thank you for coming in. Now, according to your report, as we just said, this has become worse. How much worse has this problem become?
Well, since the law was passed, so 2007, 136%, this is police statistics, 136% increase in physical abuse, 45% increase in neglect, 43% increase in sex abuse. There's been 71 child abuse deaths. Then you look at SIF figures, they show a 42% increase in physical abuse and more than 1 million notifications to Child, Youth and Family since the law was passed.
Could this be slightly down to the awareness, the reporting of? We often hear with these statistics that they're skewed by the fact there is more awareness and more reporting of, which is a positive thing. Yeah,
we looked at that specific aspect, but the problem is that we were able to look at figures from 2000 through to 2007 and then 2007 through to now, and basically it's just kept on continuing to get worse. We've got a cancer of child abuse in this country and it's just going to keep getting worse.
The smacking law, I mean, the anti-smacking law, it raised a huge amount of awareness. It put it forefront in everyone's minds. The question I want to ask, though, is this your criticism of the anti-smacking law, or is it your criticism of the law not being enforced?
Oh, look, the law is being enforced, and we've got a website, protectgoodparents.org.nz, which documents families that have been impacted by the law. So it is being enforced, absolutely. But I think, to me, it's a little bit... There was 87% opposition to the law in the referendum. To me, it's a little bit like saying we need to drop... There's deaths on the motorway, so we need to drop the speed to 50 kilometres on the motorway because that somehow we're going to keep people safe. If the road toll doesn't go down, it proves that the 50k limit is a complete joke, which is what this law is. It's a joke because people just don't have respect for it.
Well, why is it still here then? Why? Because we know that at the time John Key was very vocal against it, and then for a couple of years it's still with us. Why hasn't it been rescinded if it's such a joke?
Because they don't want to admit they made a mistake. I think they think it's too hard to tackle. It's quite an emotive affair because, in effect, you're going into families and telling them how to raise their kids. We're simply saying that kids differ. We should give credit to parents for the great job they're doing.
Do we also, though, know whether there are maybe thousands more children who might enjoy better, more trusting relationships with their parents or caregivers because they're not being smacked? That caregivers and parents have actually altered the way they parent and the way they bring up their children, and the smack is redundant as a small form of being able to alter behaviour.
One of the interesting statistics we looked at the New Zealand Health Survey in terms of emotional and behavioural disorders, 132% increase. The report said statistically significant increase since 2007. So that was an interesting factor. I mean, parents have continued to try and raise their kids the best way they can, but what the politicians did was they took away a technique that parents occasionally used to effect, because any parent knows with some kids, sometimes a smack is the best solution.
Why not leave the law in place? Because, I mean, I'm wondering if you've asked the police about this, because it gives them that one extra tool when they get into a situation whereby somebody might be being abusive, but at least they've got one fact. There's been a smack, they can do something about it. Surely that one tool helps the police. Is that not what they're saying to you?
Well, I think if we're telling the police that they've got to go and investigate families because there's been one smack because, you know...
And they're not. And we know that they're trying to apply common sense often.
They're trying to,
but is it not a good tool?
SIFs as well. SIFs won't front up because they don't want to be accountable for this whole debacle. And one of the things that our report raises is that SIFs is at saturation point.
Okay.
I mean, 1 million notifications since 2007. We haven't even touched the issue of child abuse, and the smacking has felt good, sounded good, hasn't achieved a single thing.
Bob McCoskrie from Family First, thanks.